Welcome back to San Antonio Living. We're going to spend the next 30 minutes helping those of you who may know someone dealing with an abuse problem, or maybe it's yourself. We've got our friends from Soba Texas in studio this morning to help you. Joining us, Greg Hanley is here. He is the CEO and founder of the Soba Recovery Center. Alex Dragici is the director of operations, and good friend and, of course, actor Daniel Baldwin. I like to refer to you as actor Daniel Baldwin. You get 3 names when you come and see me here.
The artist formerly known as is what I was hoping for.
Well, that's interesting that you brought that up, because the last time you guys were here, it was maybe a day or 2 after Prince passed away, and it's taken quite some time to, you know, confirm what we all sort of thought. And it was shocking news that he had a serious opiate addiction, and now it has been confirmed that that's what he died of. Was that shocking to you, or is that something that you guys maybe had heard about in circles?
Well, we knew it.
Yeah, we knew.
Yeah, well, when we talked to you 2 days in, we said that was what happened.
Yeah.
You don't land a plane and Narcan a guy who doesn't have a problem.
Right.
And the sad thing was that nobody spoke up and got him to treatment and to detox. I guess there was a doctor flying in to give him some Suboxone or whatever, but it's too late. You can't wait 5 days.
Mm-hmm. And we had heard that the abuse started because of an injury that he had, and you know, I know you hear that all the time, and I never understood that the correlation between opiates and things like that can sometimes lead to a then heroin addiction. Mm-hmm. Why is that a correlation?
Well, they give too many, and it doesn't matter who you are. If you take an opiate-based painkiller for a significant length of time, you're gonna get physically addicted to it.
Okay.
Period. And it doesn't matter whether I think he had a hip replacement, mm-hmm. and so I'm sure they loaded him up with painkillers to where he would never even know if his hip didn't hurt anymore, because he's addicted to the painkillers. Yeah. And I think that, and we're seeing a lot now, dentists prescribing a month's worth of painkiller for a dental procedure.
Yeah.
And little kids getting addicted.
That is the craziest thing that you brought that up, because I read a story, you know, and you've said that here on the show, that there are dentists who are prescribing serious painkillers to kids that are 16 and 17 and 18 years old.
The first show we did.
Yes.
Right when we first, actually before we opened, we had a dentist here, local dentist in San Antonio, who reached out and said, listen, I have some people that come to see me mm-hmm. that I don't even do any kind of dental work for, and I have a lot of clients who are just addicted to pain pills.
Really?
And I write prescriptions. I was wondering if I can refer them over to you.
Remember what you told me your dentist gave you?
That's crazy.
So, I know, but I'm like careful about, I'm not going to say where, what, who, whatsoever. But let's just say there's some dentists in town that reach out to us because they want to refer their clients.
Well, recently the governor of New York, Andrew Cuomo, and the state of New York has decided, you know what, 7 days, that's it. That's as long as we're going to give you these painkillers.
Okay.
If you can't get it under control in 7 days, you probably need the surgery, or you need whatever the next step is.
Well, listen to this. This is a young lady who had her wisdom teeth pulled at 16. She went home with a 30-day supply of Percocet, and it led to a serious addiction problem. Here's what she had to say.
Then came the day where I took the pills off the shelf behind the stuffed animal that I'd hidden behind and proceeded to take them. I learned I could smoke them, and my life forever changed.
What do you wish now, you know, given what you know now?
I wish that the dentist would have talked more to my parents about potential consequences.
She's saying there that she wished that the dentist would have had a conversation with her parents about what could happen if you become addicted to or you abuse this Percocet. Is that not happening in these dentist offices?
No, it's not happening in a lot of places. The first time somebody gave me a benzo, which was Valium, I said I had anxiety, and they gave me 120 of them. And didn't explain that they have a half-life of up to 18 days, and that if you take too many, you can overdose. There was no conversation. It was just, here you go. And people need to know that you can really easily get addicted to painkillers. It doesn't matter who you are. It's a physical addiction. And once you're addicted, it's really hard to get off.
And I, even as a recovering drug addict, did not understand what that meant. So please let me take a second to explain what he just said.
Okay.
There are certain medications that you can take that have a half-life. Up to half of that medication can stay in your system for 18 days. So if you take 2 on Monday and you take 2 on Wednesday and 4 on Thursday, the ones from Monday, half of them can be in 18 days later. Now you've taken 50 pills.
Okay.
And of the 50, when you're taking 51, you have half of the first 50 still in your body all the way back from 18 days
So you're
before.
just building it and
You're just
building it and
Well,
building
and
it.
when
Something
you
you just take
combine that,
one.
Yeah.
you combine it. So you see, so there probably was that in the system too. Because what happens is that you get on these opiate medications and you can't sleep. And then you get anxious. So they give you Xanax, Valium, Klonopin, something like that. Now you're taking both of those. And the half-life on the one, it's in your system. Everything that you took for the last 18 days is in your system. So you add it to it, then you go have a drink. Now you're done.
It really needs to be a wake-up call for parents that are watching this morning. I mean, just think about that, because I've got a 16-year-old daughter. I know she needs her wisdom teeth out. So now I have the knowledge to make sure that, and guess what? You might be able to have a Tylenol. That's all I'm giving you, you know? But you got to make sure that you know
I'll just
these
tell you
things.
what happened. So I had a wisdom tooth pulled, and I was given, it's going to sound insane, but the dentist gave it to me. So I got Vicodin, Tylenol 3s, which didn't matter anymore after the Vicodin. But here's the weird part, what he also gave me. He gave me Lexapro, which has nothing to do with, hang on, let me just, and
That's an anxiety medicine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I got Ambien CR from him.
And a sleeping pill.
Yeah, because I had wisdom.
Wow.
And Alex went back every month and had
No,
6 teeth taken out.
But you
didn't go
know
back,
these
but-
things, right? And it's because you have been educated, you've been through this, and you know what to look for. But
Well, and
other
the
parents might not, or grown people like myself too.
And the detox from benzos, which is and I consider them one of the more dangerous ones on their own. Now, opiates will lead to heroin if you run out of them.
Okay.
The benzos will kill you from taking too many of them, and there's something that one of the side effects is that you forget things. It's loss of memory. So you can forget how many you took, for instance,
gosh.
or when you took them last, or whatever it is. And it's kind of like and the thing about an anti-anxiety medication, it doesn't bring your anxiety down to where you have a normal or a little bit, which you should have. It's none. So now I don't care. So if I put one of those in my mouth, I don't care about anything. Like, I don't care if I'm taking too many. I don't care about anything that I'm doing, what I'm mixing it with. It's kind of an I don't care drug.
It is like a landslide, it really is. And things start to pick up and snowball, and that's when we have a problem. And this morning, this is all about education, and I've learned something from you guys, and I appreciate that. I hope you've learned something as well. If you're listening and this is something that you're having a problem with, these guys are here to help. It's Soba Texas. They're here in the San Antonio Hill Country. Their phone number is right there on the screen for you. SobaTexas.com, 866-948-9014. Call if you need someone to help you. They've got people standing by on the phones right now. All right, don't go away. We've got more with our friends from Soba Texas when we come back.
No one is perfect. We all have our inner struggles. It may be alcohol, drug, or any type of addiction. Soba Recovery Center is here to offer free help. You can get the help and free information by calling right now from the privacy of your own home. Don't let alcohol, drug, or any addiction ruin your life. If you or a loved one have alcohol, drug, or any addiction, get help by calling right now. Soba Recovery Center. Most private insurance accepted.
Welcome back to San Antonio Living. We're chatting with our friends from Soba Texas Recovery Center. Greg Hanley is the CEO and founder. Alex Dragici, the Director of Operations, joining us as well. And actor Daniel Baldwin, who always comes in to kind of share your insight and share your stories. And I love hearing from all of you guys. And I really feel like we are helping and educating people by doing these segments. It's also nice to see when people are able to be upfront about their addictions and open up about their addictions addictions, because I think it lets people know that this can happen to anybody, including Olympic figure skaters. In fact, on your magazine, Recovery Today, the cover features Olympian Ty Babylonia. She's a figure skater. She is opening up about her addiction in the magazine, and she talks about hitting rock bottom. We're going to listen to what she has to say, and then we'll come back and chat about it.
It was the constant fighting and arguments with a then fiance, and the drinking wasn't.
Stopped working, huh?
It wasn't fun anymore. And I was flying off the handle, and just everything was a struggle. Everything was heavy.
So she talks about addiction not being fun anymore, or the drugs not being fun anymore, and things getting really, really hard, everything becoming a struggle. And that's what made her decide to turn her life around. Does everyone hit rock bottom? Is that a real thing?
Well, rock bottom is where you stop.
Yeah.
So it doesn't need to be that. Rock bottom can be dead. And people who are waiting for somebody to hit rock bottom can end up waiting too long.
Yeah.
And they have a saying that rock bottom is where you quit digging. But it's just, what she's talking about is there's some certain point where you realize that you're a hostage to the drug or the drink or whatever it is. And when you are a hostage, it's not fun anymore.
Yeah.
If I get up on a daily basis and I got to drink right away, or I got to get pills in my mouth, or I got to find dope, I'm a hostage. And that's no fun, not even for a minute. And most people who are watching the show who need help, they understand what I'm saying. And you don't have to be hostage to this anymore. And it doesn't have to be a bad situation to come and ask for help. It's okay to ask for help. I had a hard time doing that because I didn't want people to know, and my pride and ego was in the way of it, but I didn't know how to get out of it, and I tried every different way that I could. The minute I came into treatment, I knew I was in the right place. I had people that understood, and something that I could not do, I couldn't figure this out. As soon as I got there, it was figured out.
Yeah.
And I never had to feel like that again.
Well, sadly, too, rock bottom has a tendency to have a direct correlation with consequences. So, you know, when it's, for some people, you know, it's a single DUI, you know, the embarrassment of going to jail, handcuffs, blah, 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 neighbors knowing and so on. Other people, you have to ram a minivan full of kids and kill someone, you know, or go to prison. So that's a very varying degree, but Greg brings up a great point. It's where, whatever that point is, it's where you stop digging and stop doing it, where you've had enough.
Yeah.
And hopefully you live through that.
Is it hard to admit that you've hit rock bottom and that you need help? And why is that so hard to admit that you need help? What keeps you from asking for help?
Well, especially with medications. So people confuse the fact that if a doctor gives them to them, that they're not addicted. And so they don't want to admit it. It's like, what? It's medicine. And even though I'm running out in the middle of the month, having to see another doctor, there's certain kind of traits that go along with I'm an abuser and not somebody that is using something properly.
You bring up a good point that I want to talk about a little bit, because a lot of people who know people that have an addiction think that, hey, you can just stop. I know you can. You can just stop, just do it. What we don't understand is that there are some underlying situations going on with these drugs. And you mentioned that there are so many different drugs that people are given that they are attacking your system in different ways. And you might not be thinking clearly. You might not be able to make your own decisions, you know? And so it's not just the fact that you can't make that change.
I mean, that's what I just talked about on the other show, too. For, you know, having been doing this TV show for 2 years and people know what we do. I have a lot of friends. I grew up in San Antonio who know exactly what I do. And I get messages. Sometimes somebody just texts me and I get right back to them. But after all this time, I'm still hearing about friends that I grew up with now that go, well, I've been on this Percocet. I really don't have a problem with it, but I've been on it for 6 years. And, you know, if I don't have it, I start freaking out. What should I do? I go, well, maybe you didn't watch a single episode of what we talk about.
Yeah.
And but that's a big step for somebody to reach out.
Well, and
That's
also,
a big step.
for sure. And actually, I don't agree with something that you said. And that, so if I hand you my phone and say, crack all my codes and get into my banking account for me, please. And you look at me and go, what are you talking? Because you really don't know how to do it. And you know, when you're talking about someone who's lived for this drug addict, alcoholic, I had no idea until I met him and I went through his program. I had no idea how to do this. I mean, my life for 20 plus years had been that of a drug addict. I was functioning at some levels, higher and lower, depending upon, but I did not know. I could get sober for a short amount of time, but I did not know how to live my life sober. I did not know that. And that's something that you're taught at Soba, for sure.
It is something that you need a mentor for. It's something that you need a guide for. And these are the guys to help you. They're in San Antonio, in the Texas Hill Country. You have a great staff of people ready to help you figure out how to live that life, to take those next steps. It's Soba Texas. The phone number is on your screen. You can also go online to sobatexas.com and stick around because we're answering your questions when we come back. Welcome back to San Antonio Living. We are talking with our friends from Soba, Texas, and we have been broadcasting live on Facebook this morning as well as questions are coming in from our viewers. We're going to ask you and see what you guys think. This came from a viewer. How can we approach those we suspect of drug abuse to help them?
Talk to them. Tell them you're worried. You know, get a few people. If they hear it enough, and it doesn't, don't point a finger. Just tell them, hey, can I talk to you? You know, we're worried about you.
Yeah.
People are starting to talk and about the fact, and everybody is worried, and it can just be that simple. It doesn't need to be a whole lot more complicated than that.
Okay. We've got a lot of questions, so we'll try to get to all of them. This is from another viewer. Why do people relapse more than once?
Everyone's gonna look over at me.
We
Poster child.
How many times?
Oh my God. I can't count the number of times I relapsed. There's not enough hairs on my head. I think that it starts, you know, there's a word in the word surrender, and the word is end. And if you truly want to surrender to it and put an end to the way, you know, your life or lack thereof. So for me, when I went to Greg and I went into Soba, I'll never forget, very early on, he said, well, what's going to be different this time? And I, you know, and I've been 9 times, you know, and lots of other attempts on my own. And I said, you know, I don't know. He goes, it'll be your willingness to take direction. You know, I mean, I know a way. I was just as bad as you. I can show you, but you have to be willing to do what I say.
And we just talked about that in the last segment, about how important it is to have a guide, because you were saying you didn't know the steps to leading a different life.
It's kind of like this, is that it's a disease.
Yeah.
And flat out, whatever it is, it's a disease. If you have kidneys and you have to go to dialysis and you quit going, your kidneys are going to quit working right.
Yeah.
And then, but what happens if somebody quit going to dialysis, they don't tell them, you can't come anymore. They tell them, you need to go back and get your kidneys back in dialysis again. This, when somebody is in recovery, their disease is in remission. When they use, it comes out of remission. You don't throw them to the dogs. You bring them back in and you do it again just like anything else.
Another question from a viewer, how long should a methadone program be?
Methadone is
0 days.
Zero.
Hey, don't ever go on methadone.
Yeah, it gets in your bones. It is. Once you're on methadone, it's the hardest thing to ever get off. And
it's tough to say that because depends on where somebody's watching or what resources or what facilities or what, I mean, they might have the resources that go to a better treatment or something else. If that's the only option, I'm not going to say it's 0 days, but if that's your only option, take the option of methadone.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the alternative is kicking the habit by coming to a facility.
If there's a way to not get on methadone, try to figure that out first. Don't use that as your primary
But even Greg, you've said before exactly what we said about New York State. They're going to limit the amount of these opiates you can take, these painkillers, to 7 days. Methadone was set up, correct me if I'm wrong, to curb that heroin need and slowly come off. And we know, but they're not. They just continue to keep going and taking the same dose.
People have been on methadone for so many years that it's
There are options out there, guys, and you can start by making that very first phone call and finding about the treatment that you can get at Soba Texas. The number is there. We're going to talk about how people can get in touch with you and how to get into the program. We'll do that when we come back.
No one is perfect. We all have our inner struggles. It may be alcohol, drug, or any type of addiction. Soba Recovery Center is here to offer free help. You can get the help and free information by calling right now from the privacy of your own home. Don't let alcohol, drug, or any addiction ruin your life. If you or a loved one have alcohol, drug, or any addiction, get help by calling right now. Soba Recovery Center. Most private insurance accepted.
Well, this morning we really talked about a lot of different things on the show. We talked about opiate abuse. We talked a little bit about heroin. We just really ran the gamut. But I think that's important because you guys can treat any kind of addiction at Soba.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, it can be alcohol. It can be any number of things. Anything that is interfering with you having a good life, give us a call and we can help you figure it out.
Okay. Also, insurance. If people have questions about insurance, just call,
Give
right?
us a call. We take insurance. So
Okay.
Yeah, we'll
absolutely.
check it and see what the benefits are. Sometimes you can use your insurance completely.
All right. Well, thank you for coming. Thank you for spending the time with us. Thank you for sharing your stories. It's all about helping you out there. SobaTexas.com. You can find them on Facebook and Twitter. And certainly just take that first step and give them a call. We'll see you next time.